In a week where we saw Rikishi's rear end going into the Hall of Fame, in a week where we saw John Cena's O face in the middle of a movie trailer, in a week where we saw Seth Rollins' jewels spread all over Monday night's social media instead of what was going on during Monday Night Raw, I am happy to say that NXT's Takeover Rival Special on Wednesday night rose to the occasion. Welcome back, everyone. This is Jason. Uh, yeah, what a wild week in wrestling. Um, this video is going to be talking about what happened during NXT's latest 2-hour special that featured probably is going to be some of the best wrestling of the month. Now, I'm not going to call this show flawless by any means. There were a few hiccups during the show, and I'll cover that. But by no means did it destroy the show itself. You know, the few hiccups there were. Um, Everything else that happened around it, you know, the good far outweighed the bad, in my opinion. Uh, it started out the show with Hideo Itami versus Tyler Breeze, and uh, you know, this is unfortunately one of the last minute matches that was made for the show, but nonetheless still a great match. Um, Now, me and the guys from Rambling About Wrestling spoke about this on our podcast last week, saying that, you know, a lot of us don't really like Tyler Breeze's character, but his wrestling is outstanding. He's great in the ring. If if he could just drop all the fuzzy stuff, you know, and maybe if they came up with a, I don't know, not necessarily a different gimmick, but there's already so many people in the WWE that are similar to him. You've got, you know, you've got the show off Dolph Ziggler. You've got the Miz. You've got Sandow. You know, Sandow is kind of like Miz Part Two right now, but nonetheless, you've got all these that are, you know, they're all and Fandango, you know, and they're all different, but they all have that similar characteristic, if you know what I mean. They're all, you know, either flashy or show off or something like that, and they're all, you know, riding that fine line of being the same character. Well, the main if he does ever get to the main roster, he doesn't. We don't need another character like him on the main roster. Um, you know, do I hope he makes it someday? Yeah, he's great and he's talented. He's a great cruiserweight, and I hope he makes it. But uh, you know, this gimmick, I don't know. It's just, and seeing the selfie stick, oh my god, that was hilarious. You know, if you couldn't exaggerate the the character anymore, well, they just did it. You know, he gave him a 3-foot selfie stick, and it's. But the match was great, and you kind of knew who was going to win, but it was a great match nonetheless. Hideo Itami came out on top. Next, we had, um, I'd say, one of the very few hiccups in this whole show was the match between Bull Dempsey and Baron Corbin. Um, Pretty much a squash match. I'm not sure why they called it no DQ. Because they're really, you know, fans wanted to see chair shots, tables, ladders, something, you know, some kind of weapons. They really didn't do hardly anything with that in that aspect. Um, And who knows how long this feud is going to go on. I don't think it's going to go on much longer. Baron Corbin came out on top, and he in this match, it didn't necessarily stink up the joint, but you see that these guys are still kind of green. You know, Baron still needs some polishing, some experience in the ring. If they're gonna book him as like the next American badass gimmick, similar to the Undertaker, he's got a ways to go. Um, and he doesn't have to necessarily be the greatest in promos and stuff, but yeah, he still needs some work. Great look though. And uh, whenever I'm watching it, my wife is sitting next to me. She loves the wolf vest that he comes out on. She's like, I want that vest, and I'm like, oh. If he gets big enough, maybe they'll sell them on WWE.com someday, and I'll get one for you. But till then, baby, just gotta wait. Next, the tag team NXT Tag Team Championships are online. Blake and Murphy holding the belts versus Sin Cara and Kalisto. Yeah, this this match did show some glitches in their chemistry. Kalisto, as on as he usually is, had some hiccups in the ring, and it just kind of threw the whole match off. Um, I'm wondering if they, put the belts on Blake and Murphy too quick. But this is one match that, as great as some of the moves were, the hiccups kind of stood out a little bit. Maybe they should have slowed it down a little bit. They still could have done a lot of the same moves, just slowed it down a little. And I think that's the problem with some of these guys is it's like too much too quick. But that's just my opinion. Other than a few of the hiccups, it was an okay match. Blake and Murphy retained their championships, so that bears a question: what are they going to do with Sin Cara and Kalisto? Are they going to send both of them up to the main roster? Well, Sin Cara's been on the main roster, but he hasn't been there a lot. So are they going to send both together up to the main roster soon, like after WrestleMania, for an additional tag team? Um, Kalisto certainly is a veteran of the ring, is really good, and everyone's going to have an off day. Unfortunately, it happened on their special. Um, I would certainly like to see these guys stick together more than seeing um, the Los Matadores and and uh, the mini bull guy. Can't think of his name offhand. Something with a T. Torito? No, it's something like that. But anyways, um, yeah, we'll have to see where this goes and who's up next to challenge Blake and Murphy for their championships. So yeah, not a horrible match, but you know, fans often remember the bad stuff before they remember the good stuff. This was all unfortunately one of the bad parts of the show, um, but not horrible. It didn't completely destroy it or anything. Um, I still think Blake and Murphy are a good team. I still think Sin Cara and Kalisto are a good team. They just was one of their better outings. Then we see a promo for who is going to be Solomon Crow showing up next week. And I've done my best to stay away from spoilers because they always do the tapings the next night after their special. I think I saw one picture online showing his debut. I didn't hear what happened, but Solomon Crow finally coming to NXT television. Can't wait to see it. Next, we have the match, which is definitely one of the highlights of the night between Adrian Neville versus Finn Balor. Which we even saw some fantastic moves like was it kicking Adrian Neville through the barricade, which garnered a holy shit chant, which was not censored on the network. That was kind of funny. Uh, anytime you go a little above the PG mark, it's kind of you see that a lot on Lucha Underground too, so it's funny. And and we heard, now I don't know if I've heard this before. The name of the finisher of Finn Balor, his top rope stomp, is called the coup de grace. Um, and maybe they did say that before. I don't remember it, but nonetheless, Finn Balor came out on top of this one. Oh, and the body paint or face paint, war paint, whatever you want to call it. Wow. Very similar to the last time he came out. A lot of people assumed, because of pictures on Instagram and floating around the internet, that he was going to come out to the Punisher, make up the Punisher skull symbol on the face. I kind of assumed that too, but you should never assume anything with the WWE, I guess. So yeah, they didn't go too far off from what they had before. Just gave it some more detail, very similar to the Venom / Carnage looking makeup from the last special 2 months ago. So yeah, great match between these two. And if you haven't watched the special yet, and you're watching this, do yourself a favor. Go to YouTube and look up their match from, it's a few years ago. I can't remember if it's from like 2, 4, or 6 years ago, whatever it is. It's from a few years ago when they both wrestled each other in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Tremendous match. But just to show that, the history between these two is there, and these two work very well together. And, so anyone who's, a fan of Prince Devitt and Pac back in the day, seeing this again was a real treat. It really was. Next was my first hiccup as far as prediction wise, because I actually, went out in left field with this one and said that Becky Lynch was going to win. Well, I was wrong. But so far, all my predictions were right up until this point. It was Bayley versus Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch versus the NXT Women's Champion, Charlotte. Tremendous women's wrestling match. Just when you think that NXT can't top their last show as far as women's wrestling, they do it. Just great stuff. And it truly shows how much all four of these girls are maturing. And by far, how do I say it? Just the work is that much more outstanding than the divas on Raw and SmackDown on the main roster. It's just blowing them away. And can't wait to see some of these girls get up to the main roster, and hopefully they stay healthy and stay out of trouble. Like Emma, who looks like she's unfortunately on her way out. Paige is doing well, though. We should see Charlotte going up there soon. But nonetheless, tremendous match. We have a new NXT Women's Champion, Sasha Banks, and she has really improved a lot over the course since her debut like a year ago. And she started coming out with, I think she started coming out with Charlotte. So this feud between the two, just growing, has just gotten incredible. And I shouldn't have judged her. I don't know if I've said it in a video before, but I know when I first heard that Snoop Dogg's cousin or niece or whatever was joining NXT, my first thought was, okay, she's just going in because of her name, and she's not going to have that much talent. Well, I'll throw out the big A and apologize for those thoughts because Sasha Banks, you have completely proven those thoughts of mine wrong. And you certainly do deserve to be NXT Women's Champ. So congrats to you, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Next, and last but certainly not least, before I get into the main event, Sasha Banks, her finisher, beat Charlotte in the middle of the ring with a cross face, and then pinned her with like a crucifix pin, right? Lean her back. Incredible. Have not seen a cross face like that in ages. Wow. I hope, there's some wrestlers who do it well. There's some that don't do it well. There are some wrestlers that they don't mention on the WWE network or on television anymore that did this move very well. So it's nice to see someone from this NXT class doing it and doing it well. Just had to throw that out there. Now, on to the main event. Have not seen, well, the last main event we saw was with, a ton of emotion between Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville. Incredible emotional match when, and I think I said this in my video talking about, what was that special 2 months ago? Takeover, whatever that special was. Takeover something. The main event between Neville and Zayn. So much emotion, and when Zayn won, is one of the few times where in my life where wrestling actually put a lump in my throat and brought a tear to my eye. I was so happy when Zayn won, to see his climb to the top through NXT, his rivalry with Adrian Neville, and the matches that he's won to get to this. Simply incredible. And then to have NXT have the balls, the cojones, whatever you want to say, the testicular fortitude to put the classic rivalry between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn on NXT television. Hats off, because they've done it really well. My only concern, and it's not really that I think it's wrong, it's more of a question to you, the viewers. If you know this feud, and I'm not saying I know the feud up and down, because this feud was going on long before I was watching Ring of Honor when they went to Sinclair Television, when Kevin Steen went back to Ring of Honor. And I didn't know that this rivalry dated back. I just saw a video that started in 2010 in Ring of Honor. And then a couple years later was revisited. Kevin Steen is awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm just concerned that they did this all too quick. That 2 months to the day, and don't get me wrong, this was impressive. That 2 months to the day of Kevin Steen's debut, they had him win the NXT championship. And he just destroyed Sami Zayn in the ring during the special. He did to Sami Zayn what Lesnar did to Cena at one of the last pay-per-views, when he did all those suplexes and just, destroyed Cena and beat the hell out of him. Yeah, as good as this match was, man, Owens just destroyed Zayn. And was actually stopped. He didn't win by pin or submission. He could have. He certainly could have, but he basically just kept on doing power bomb after. I think he did 4 or 5 power bombs in a row, and then after everything else he did to him, it was just stopped by referee stoppage, and that's something you don't see a lot of. I was really shocked by this, and so were a lot of the fans, and it was a very emotional win, for Kevin Owens. But in true heel fashion, as much as I'm sure a lot of guys in the back wanted to go out and celebrate with him, how he did it garnered no response like the last show at all, where everyone came out and celebrated with Sami Zayn when he won. Owens was crying in the middle of the ring, emotional, holding up the title, and there were some claps, there were some boos, and just it almost had that same reaction, almost the same as when Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble. It was a landmark moment for Reigns' career to win something of that magnitude, a chance to headline WrestleMania, and to be completely buried by the crowd booing at you. So, fans, or I should say all fans, a good chunk of fans did not want to see that happen. And there was a lot of fans tonight that did not think that Owens was going to win. So, it's too soon. They're not going to do this. They're not going to give him the championship. Well, they did. So yeah, I'm a little concerned that they did this a little quick. I think they did it well. It came off great on television. So you got to wonder, how long is Kevin Owens going to be in NXT? How long is he going to be champ? Are they going to do a thing where, because he was so, how would I say it, disorderly, that they're going to, strip him of the title soon and then banish him from NXT, and then he just goes straight to the main roster right after, a month from now, right after WrestleMania? Who knows? He's one of those guys where he's ready. He's ready to go to the main roster, and there's a lot of fans that just just have him destroy Cena already. Just do it. Really, just do it. And then there's you got to be realistic about it. There's not many guys that are deserving enough that you can just throw them on the main roster after being on NXT so little. There's only one other guy that I can think of that has not spent any time on NXT television, and he spent time in Florida Championship Wrestling, never was put on NXT when it became its own brand, and then was debuted at a pay-per-view on the main roster, and that's Dean Ambrose. You got to wonder, are they going to do something similar to that? Not necessarily, put him in a group and have him debut with a bunch of NXT guys. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, just put him up there, Gotta wonder. But yeah, great show. One thing I failed to mention also in the middle of the card with the Finn Balor and Adrian Neville match, that Finn Balor won. That was for the number one contendership for the NXT Championship. So does that mean we're going to see at the next big show a few months from now, Finn Balor and Kevin Owens? Wow. All I can say is wow. That's just, there's so much incredible talent on this show now. That's just, you know, blows the mind. Between Zayn, Neville, Balor, Itami, Owens. The future of the WWE is in good hands. And with shows being as good as this, being run by Triple H, whether you love Triple H or not, the future is good. I honestly believe that. So that's my thoughts on this special. Like I said, crazy week in wrestling. This certainly was one of the better things that stood out. Besides Rikishi's ass, Seth Rollins, boner, and John Cena's face. Too funny. Hence why they call that movie Trainwreck. Gotta love it. So yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next. Can't wait till next week to see Solomon Crow debut, where they're going to go with Sasha Banks as champ, or they're going to go with Kevin Owens as champ. I might start reviewing NXT on a regular basis just because there's so much good stuff going on. And wrestling fans who are sick of all the inconsistent BS on the main roster are really turning to this. The mature fans who are paying $10 a month to see good wrestling, to reminisce on the older stuff, this is becoming their favorite brand to watch, along with me. For me right now, I say it's a tie between this and Lucha Underground, honestly. And I know I said that before, but yeah, I'll say it again. It's pretty much a tie for me right now. Maybe the edge up on the two, this one, a little bit. So, because some of my favorites are in there, like, Steen and Generico. So, that's my thoughts on this. Tell me, what did you think of the show? Did you love it as much as I did? Not the greatest, because, there were some hiccups in there, but, like I said, the hiccups didn't wreck the show completely. Still great. Still great stuff. So, yeah, put it in comments below. Let me know what you thought. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys.